Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This probably would be the biggest news of 2026. NVIDIA just changed everything. They launched Icing, that's as XNDU's IPO marked down the quantum computing era. So now let's look at what it means for the GPU, CPU and memory related stocks. We know that SanDisk has quadrupled, almost 500%, YTD 400%. So is Micron double or triple in the 6 months. But this quantum computing is just beginning, and you might have already seen some of these stocks like NVDA's Navitas moving 20%. XNDU, that's a recent IPO, went up like 8-fold in 2 weeks. So now let's understand what really happened with NVIDIA Icing. So the biggest hurdle for quantum computer was that its qubits flips randomly. What is qubit is? So you have traditional classical computing where you have 0, 1, and all the calculation is primarily switch on, switch off. That's your 0, 1, and then qubits is a special character where they can have superimposition and they can have a value of 0, 1 depending on the different situations. So literally you have much more efficient way to do any computing through qubits. So quantum chips makes mistakes, and this is constant, like, because qubits they flips randomly. So what happened is that let's assume that there is a switch you have on, off, and in between there is balance. Now the qubits randomly switch to 1, 0, and they are supposed to be in between. Instead of that, they go and pick one side. And why does that happen is because qubits are very sensitive to the environment. They literally change their behavior to even sound, temperature, and so on. So in real world, quantum computers were not feasible because they are so prone to qubit flipping happening so often. So typically there are two problems there: the qubit flipping, and the other is somebody has to calibrate those qubits so that quantum computing works in much more efficient way. So you have to calibrate these qubits. So before 2026 16th of April, quantum is equals to lab curiosity only. This was like mostly lab theory. Error correction too slow. Somebody has to calibrate that qubit movement manually. That may takes like a week, several weeks. No bridge between classical and quantum. So either you have your classical computing or quantum computing. So this all being broken by NVIDIA new Icing. And let's look at like what Icing is. So on 16th of April 2026, NVIDIA released Icing, the world's first open source AI model built specifically to fix quantum computing error in real time. Now when we say like it's fixing error issue real time, that means if a qubit get a behavior of 0 or 1, quantum AI model will understand its behavior and it's rectify before it becomes a problem in calculation. So if a computer is a race car going 300 mph, Icing is a crew chief whispering correction into the driver's ear 1,000 times per second, preventing crash before they happen. So literally the GPU plays here. That's where your NVIDIA GPU is used to make sure that quantum qubits are almost running without error. Now this is to fix the error. Now what about creating an environment where qubits have lesser impact of the external factors? So at the same time, XNDU quantum technology went public in the stock market under the ticker XNDU. XNDU makes photonic quantum computers, machine that uses particle of large instead of transistor to perform calculations. Now this is the most important part. This particles of light instead of transistor to perform calculation. So think about it, transistor used to perform your calculation. Instead of that, you will use lights. That's where like huge leap in quantum is happening right now. The problem, without error correction, their hardware could not compete until Icing came along. XNDU stock jumped 30%. So both together are setting up a platform where quantum is much more usable in daily to-day life. And this is extremely unique and extremely valuable thing we are seeing in our life. So how NVIDIA is set up for success? NVIDIA becomes the first operating system of quantum era. Just like Microsoft Windows run on every PC, Android powers every smartphone, NVIDIA Icing software now sits at the heart of every serious quantum computer. The hardware is XNDU, but who controls the software layer? So NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is your GPU maker. NVIDIA is providing you the AI platform, and NVIDIA has the quantum OS. So all I see, this in itself will unlock $1 trillion of opportunity for NVIDIA. Think about it, like everything needs to move to quantum, like quantum plus classical. I see there is a mix of things happening right now. And I believe in the daily use cases, it will be classical plus quantum. So hard pieces of computing will be done through quantum, but low is still GPU. So GPU becomes the quantum correction engine. As we said, like AI model from NVIDIA in itself is able to fix those qubit calibration. Before, icing GPU did one job, crunches number for AI and graphics. Now every quantum lab needs a massive cluster of NVIDIA GPU running 24/7 just to keep their quantum hardware stable and useful. Quantum ready GPU, higher price, higher margin for NVIDIA. Rubin architecture surge. Every quantum lab now order GPU cluster, demands explodes, locked in FX. Icing runs best on NVIDIA CUDA. Computers can't replicate this overnight. So overall, NVIDIA is a clear winner in the quantum space, which if you have been following Jensen Huang, he said that we have reached to an inflection point of quantum era. So that means we are almost on the verge to explode from here. And remember, he's calling out that we will hit $1 trillion revenue. And that's not just going to be from the GPUs. It's overall GPUs and enablement of quantum platform. So CPU gets sidelined again. This is very tricky for some of the companies like Intel and AMD. They are traditional CPU. But now there is a new sheriff in the GPU quantum pair. They move so fast, the old mayor can barely keep up with the paperwork. So quantum data flow is microsecond which is 86 times faster than CPU. And that becomes your bottleneck. So AMD and Intel CPU are in serious trouble. Clear winner is your NVIDIA and then ARM. So I won't say like Intel and AMD is done and dusted. They also have a partnership with the XNDU. So they must be working on something. But again, NVIDIA is leading the technology. The more RAM is better era end. So typically we have that, when you go and buy a laptop, you look for their RAM, right? I think that's something which you probably might not consider in 2 years. So neural texture compression. So also launched with icing, NTC is a new compression text that cuts VRAM usage by up to 85%. So what does it mean? That $300 GPU on your desk, it can now do work that previously needed a $2,000 flagship card. So just think about this. This in itself is a huge. For the memory industry, this is chaos. No more just buy more VRAM and upsell. Demand for the raw high bandwidth memory drops and premium memory cycle breaks. Now, RAM is down, but what happened to the SRAM and interconnect chip? For quantum applications, XNDU phonetics, photonics chips, speed matter more than the size. So HBM is great for AI, but too slow or too power hungry for real-time quantum error correction. New winner, your SRAM-based chip memory, faster response. Marvell chip-to-chip interconnect via NVLink fusion and chip-to-chip bandwidth. So I see Marvell being a winner here, Lumentus is a winner, and Navitas is a winner. Now let's look at what is happening here. Who is winning, who is losing at one glance? So GPU, obviously your NVIDIA is the winner. CPU, again, NVIDIA, Grace, and ARM will be your winner. Intel and AMD will win under the pressure. Memory, Marvell and SRAM chipmaker, whereas HBM provider like Micron, SK Hynix will be in pressure. Although I know like Micron has already said like their 2027 revenue is already booked. So they already have over extreme demand. And yeah. Now quantum, we have XNDU. Obviously their Pennyline software is and software hardware is the main thing that another thing that like 50% of the quantum researchers use XNDU for their calibrations. INQ is also in that race. So yeah. So at the end, from here I see NVIDIA is a clear winner. So if you want to double your money in 2 to 3 years, you can put your money in NVIDIA. I think they are everywhere, and in the major part they are the clear leader in that. So NVIDIA in quantum space, NVIDIA owns the bridge. Hardware isn't the race anymore, with XNDU and INQ being their partners. NVIDIA just become the most important partner in quantum. And the old playbook of RAM or HBM is dead. So this, I just wanted to put across this research so that you can understand why quantum computing is coming. Now, just think about it from LLM build-up point of view. Whatever the computing Claude or OpenAI taking right now, we will be having much more efficient model developed on quantum computing. And who will be the leader in that space? Obviously, NVIDIA and XNDU. There will be smaller players which will succeed in this, which in my research, so Skywater technology. Okay, so let's look at some of the obscure pick in the value chain of quantum computing. Why it is important that some of them are not being picked up by market yet. So you have your Skywater technology, 1 billion less. market cap, US semiconductor foundry making superconducting qubits and cryogenic controller, photonics and hybrid computing classic chip. Partner with quantum firm and fabricated packaging. Pure play foundry for quantum hardware, works on silicon quantum processor, SFQ single flux quantum controllers, recently linked to a major quantum acquisition and partner. Looks interesting. We might have to do a deep research on these individual to understand which will be a long-term success. Air test system, this has gone up like double in 3 weeks, $1 to $2 billion. Hidden gatekeeper for reliability of NVDA ecosystem chips and emerging photonic and quantum components benefit from AI and quantum scaling. What I like is this one, Inflection. This is formerly known as Cold Quanta. It's a mid and small cap. Neutral atom quantum hardware, direct NVIDIA icing partner for calibration and error decoding and hybrid system. Uses penny lane and compatible workflow. So that's where I'm more bullish on Inflection. One of the newest public quantum play, less hype and the than IonQ, but explicitly called out by NVIDIA for icing development. So this is getting a lot of attraction. I put I think 200 stocks on this one. Photronics, PLab, small cap, again a critical unsexy enabler for fabricating quantum and photonic hardware at scale. Navitas, I used to own it. I sold it around 11. They are also the direct partner of NVIDIA. So again, like there are a lot of opportunity that we need to figure it out. Now just look at XNDU partners. Just look at the XNDU partners. They have AWS, AMD, NVIDIA, Global Foundries, Google, IBM, Toyota, Microsoft. So all the big caps are there. Like you have your, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Amazon, Google. So they are, I think, a clear winner as well. I know it has exploded. What is the current trading price for IonQ, XNDU? And if you look at 1 month chart, they went public through SPAC, which created a lot of, look at it, like $7 and then it's 42. So literally they went up. What is the market cap? Market cap is 10 billion. Huge opportunity, but we cannot time this. We have to see when this will start picking up. I feel like this will go up. XNDU will go up to 50, 60, 70, and then it will come down. Or it may have already reached its position. It may come down from 30, 40-ish or something. So my expectation is that this stock will definitely hit 50, 60, and I'm buying and selling. And I'm waiting for it to consolidate somewhere. That's where I will try to enter heavily on it, because XNDU is like clear long-term winner, and I'm putting a lot of put sell on NVIDIA to make more position on NVIDIA. As I said, the Inflection, I have 200 stocks on Inflection, INFQ. Yeah, so INFQ recently hit $8, now almost $18. What is the current price? So it is climbing up today. I think it's a lot of people understand that, hey, Inflection is a very great play. So I think this will easily run up to 30 in few weeks, giving a valuation of almost 10 billion as well, because they are like directly linked to NVIDIA as well as XNDU. So all right, this probably will be a multi-bagger for us, XNDU and Inflection. They can literally go up to $20-30 billion if quantum pickups. And if quantum pickups is not an option anymore, like you see all the big players are there, it has to be picked up. Otherwise your business will be in problem. So yeah, put your comments, see if you have any question on that. Happy to research further on any obscure stocks that is there in the value chain of quantum computing. We all collectively can research and come up with some better value name in this chain. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you.